And then we've got some open mic people. Open mic, I've got some people signed up, so we'll start off with 4 open mic presenters, and they have 4 minutes to present a poem or a couple of poems, if short ones, wholly or partly in another language. If it's completely in another language, just give us a summary of what it's about. And the poetry can be any style, and we do welcome people who've never stood up here before. We often have first timers, and it's great that you can share some of a language that means a lot to you with us. But before we actually get down to the programme, we have a special guest, Frank Keithley. He's very involved in languages in the ACT, and he's just going to come up and tell you about a petition that's happening at the moment, which he would like your support for, and to give you a little bit of background about why indeed you should support it. So Frank, if you'd like to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Mandy. So thank you, Mandy, and organisers of tonight for the opportunity to just say briefly a few words about what's been happening. Really appreciate that chance to talk to you about these matters that have been emerging in recent times in the ACT. My wife Ros and I ran the Academy of Languages, the Canberra Academy of Languages in Canberra from 2017 to 2023 for Year 11 and 12 students whose own home schools or their day schools didn't teach the languages they would like to learn. And we thought it was very important that your choice of language curriculum in Year 11 and 12 should not be just dictated by where your day school is and what they teach. We then handed over to CIT Solutions. Those of you who followed the news this year would be aware that CIT closed its subsidiary down at mid-year. They agreed to continue running the programs until the end of the year. We're very close to the end of the year, and there's been nothing announced publicly about the way forward for new students enrolling in these language programs from the start of next year. CIT's just agreed that they will teach it out with the current Year 11s when they're in Year 12 next year. That's a really unsatisfactory position for them to be in, and also for the new intakes who would have been interested in studying languages, because for one thing it creates very, very small groups with very little opportunity to interact with your like-minded students from around the ACT, but it also means there's no ongoing cohort for the foundations of the subsequent years' programs. So what we want to see is that the government brings those programs in-house. They run it through the Education Directorate. It becomes the same sort of situation as other states have, like New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia with the schools of languages. And we're not asking them to make a big budgetary commitment, because these have always run on a cost recovery, mostly cost recovery basis from fees by participants. So there's a petition on the Legislative Assembly website now. Mandy just mentioned to me that if you Google Year 11, 12 languages petition, it'll come up, so I don't need to give the URL.
Yeah, Canberra, put Canberra.
So Canberra, and that'll bring up the petition page, and if you would like to support that petition, it would be very helpful. We're at 350 something, no, it's 360 maybe now, as of this evening, and if we get to 500, it's going to actually force some response by the Legislative Assembly. And I'm hopeful that there might be a solution going forward, but it'll need to show that there are stakeholders in the ACT that are signing up to say this is an important thing. Thank you so much for the chance to say a few words, and have an excellent evening. Thank you.
Yes, and when you look at the petition, it doesn't ask you to sign without knowing what it's all about. It has a very nice little, it was started by a parent, that's right, isn't it, Frank?
It is.
The parents, because they want their kids, you know, they've got kids that are really keen on learning languages, and you know, it's difficult to learn languages in Australia sometimes, so to put barriers in people's ways from not allowing them to actually do what they want to do is really quite discouraging. Anyway, tonight we will have a feast of languages. So I might call on our first open mic person, who is Stella, who is actually quite a regular performer, I think, in the poetry, but normally in English. But tonight she's going to regale us with a poem in Greek. Have you written it yourself, Stella, or is this one of some? Oh, okay. You can tell us all about it.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks, Mandy, for that lovely introduction. So, as those of you who know me already from previous performances will know that I grew up with an amazing Greek poet called Cavafy, with his poetry, which was much loved by both of my parents. I grew up speaking 4 languages at home. Greek was my mother's first language of 7, and was one of the 7 that my father spoke as well. This particular poem, and Cavafy is like a giant, like Shakespeare of Greece. Like this poem and many of his poems are familiar to all Greeks living in Greece or who have a Greek education. And it was interesting this morning, I was looking on Spotify, and there are many musical versions as well of this by some of the great musicians of Greece over the latest version was only a few years ago by Dalaras and a great German composer. So I continue to encourage everyone to I guess, understand that Cavafy was a giant and still is a giant globally of the poetic world. This particular poem of his, The City, really, it's a very depressing poem. Like so many Greek themes, they're very tragic, and but it also goes to this philosophy and great attachment to history that Greeks have, and that extends to personal history, and also the tragedy of so many Greeks who've, some by voluntarily and some involuntarily, like my family, who've left the cities that they love. And so without further ado, and this poem had a big influence on me as I grew up as well. So I'll read it first in Greek, and then I'll read the translation by Edmund Keeley and Philip Sherrard. So, η πόλης. Είπες θα πάω σ' άλλη γη, θα πάω σ' άλλη θάλασσα. Μια πόλης άλλη θα βρεθεί καλύτερη από αυτή. Κάθε προσπάθειά μου μια καταδίκη είναι γραφτή. Κι είναι η καρδιά μου σαν νεκρός θα μένει. Ο νους μου ως πότε μες στον μαρασμόν αυτόν θα μένει. Όπου το μάτι μου γυρίζω, όπου και αν δω, ερείπια μαύρα της ζωής μου βλέπω εδώ, που τόσα χρόνια πέρασα και ρήμαξα και χάλασα. Καινούριους τόπους δεν θα βρεις, δεν θα βρεις άλλες θάλασσες. Η πόλη θα σε ακολουθεί, στους δρόμους θα γυρνάς στους ίδιους και στις γειτονιές τις ίδιες θα γυρνάς και μες στα ίδια σπίτια αυτά θα σπρίζεις. Πάντα στην πόλη αυτή θα φταχθείς. Για τα αλλού μην ελπίζεις. Δεν έχει πλοίο για σε, δεν έχει οδό. Έτσι που τη ζωή σου ρήμαξες εδώ, στη κοχή τούτη μικρή, σ' όλη τη γη τη χάλασες. It's amazing in Greek. Let's do it in English. The city. You said, I'll go to another country, go to another shore. Find another city better than this one. Whatever I try to do is fated to turn out wrong, and my heart, like something dead, lies buried. How long can I let my mind moulder in this place? Wherever I turn, wherever I look, I see the black ruins of my life here, where I've spent so many years, wasted them, destroyed them totally. You won't find a new country, won't find another shore. This city will always pursue you. You'll walk the same streets, grow old in the same neighbourhoods, turn grey in these same houses. You'll always end up in this city. Don't hope for things elsewhere. There's no ship for you. There's no road. Now that you've wasted your life here, in this small corner, you've destroyed it everywhere in the world.
Oh, thanks, Stella. That was great. Yeah, there's so much Greek in English, isn't there? English is a very Creole language, really. We take bits from everywhere. When I met my next door neighbour, I bumped into him in a museum in Sydney. I said to him, "God, it's a small world." I said, "How do you say small world in Greek?" I'm not quite sure what the exact term was, but mikro and cosmos came into it. And I thought, hello, I've heard those words before. So now we might hear from Michael, who's going to read something, I think he's written himself in Italian. Would you like to come up, Michael? Is this your first time reading here, Michael?
Yes.
Right, okay. So maybe tell us a little bit about yourself to start with, and then off you go.
Thanks, Randy, and hello, everyone. It's lovely. Hello, everyone. It's lovely to be here. So my name's Michael Catotti. I write a little bit of poetry. Sometimes I write poetry. I publish my work on a site which I've called Beyond Foreignness. So if you want to look me up, you can find me there. But I'm Italian-Australian background. I grew up here in Queanbeyan and Canberra. Recently I've been writing poetry in English and Italian. So I wanted to share with you two poems. They're both short. One is called Nagasaki is Not the Bomb, and the other one is called Not the Pages Are Divided. And I'll read it in English and then in Italian afterwards. Anyway, I'll just dive into it. Nagasaki is not the bomb, not future nullified, no present, obliterated past, not the mere shadowed imprint of a flash of falling fire, not just the runner-up in Hiroshima's winning race. Hiroshima, where one brilliant August day the silver bird dropped little boy on children in their play. A brilliant day, just like when we were on the sacred peak of Mount Mizzen, on Miyajima, as high as eagles, looking down on Hiroshima across the aching beauty of the bay. It must have looked like that other sunny day. But in living Nagasaki, we didn't find a peace park at its heart. The city's heart is by the water, by the bay, where Japan's locked door was left ajar, where sailing ships came laden to the Dejima, carrying goods and things unknown, down by the bay, where in Meiji times Glover settled, and from him Japan mastered modern ways. Down by the bay in Nagasaki, where samurai exchanged swords for suits, and from the bay they travelled and the world embraced. And when they'd done, home again they came. So that's the English version. I should mention that we have family in Japan, so we often travel there. It has a special connection for us. In Italian. Nagasaki non è la bomba. Senza presente, passato svanito, non solo stampa di ombra del bagliore del fuoco fatale, non solo secondo premio dopo Hiroshima la prima, Hiroshima dove un splendido giorno d'agosto un volatile d'argento fece cadere il ragazzino su ragazzini nel loro gioco. Un giorno brillante, proprio come quando eravamo sulla sacra cima di Monte Misen, su Miyajima, alti come aquile, guardando giù a Hiroshima dall'altra parte della dolente bellezza della baia. Sarà sembrato così quell'altro giorno, brillante, ma a Nagasaki vivente non abbiamo trovato un parco di pace nel cuore. Il cuore della città è sulla riva, sulla baia, dove il portone serrato del Giappone fu lasciato socchiuso, dove le navi a vela arrivavano cariche alla decima, portando merci e cose sconosciute sulla riva della baia. Dove nei tempi dei Meiji Glover si è stabilito e da lui il Giappone ha maestrato mode moderne sulla riva della baia, dove i samurai scambiarono spade e vestiti e dalla baia hanno viaggiato e il mondo abbracciato. E quando avevano finito, a casa sono tornati. That's Nagasaki, isn't it? The bomb. Speak up? Okay. So this one's called Not the Pages Are Divided, and it's about translation. It's the reflection. It's a reflection on the words that we create in more than one language, and about us. Not the pages are divided, English on the right page, Italian on the left, divided one from other, east is east and west is west, a space of inches, but while we see them, words pass never from page to page, the linguistic void still vast, the translation poorly mends. But when we put the book aside, enwrapped inside its covers, the pages now touching are, words kissing one another. What meaning do they find whilst in their warm embrace? What transcendent tongue their sweet discourse with one the other? Not the pages are divided, divisions in our heads, our names are not divided, Australian, Italian are the same. God, Iluvatar and Allah, Shiva, Odin and the Raven, they are one. All names we give the nameless whose essence all transcends. Not the pages are divided, culture not eternal and unchanging, just a gift passed down from ancestors to keep us from death and dread. Yet we change our culture when it suits us, and the past we then forget. Civilizations, not massed armies waiting for the slaughter. Yes, although we do not see it, they sometimes sit down together and take a cup of coffee like old friends, telling one another stories of their past weekends. So that's the English, and now the Italian. Non sono le pagine ad essere divise. L'inglese a destra, l'italiano a sinistra, divisi l'un dall'altro, oriente l'oriente e ovest l'ovest. Un spazio di un pollice, ma fin quando le vedremo, parole da pagina a pagina non passano mai. Un vuoto vasto di linguaggio che la traduzione mal rammenda. Ma quando mettiamo da parte il libro rinchiuso nella sua copertina, le pagine ora si toccano e le parole si baciano l'un l'altro. Che significato trovano in quel dolce abbraccio, in quel lingua trascendente il loro gentil discorso? Non sono le pagine ad essere divise, la divisione è nella nostra mente. I nostri nomi non sono divisi, australiano e italiano sono gli stessi. Dio, Iluvatare, Allah, Shiva, Odin e il Corvo sono tutti uno, tutti i nomi che diamo all'innominato, la cui essenza trascende tutto. Non sono le pagine ad essere divise. La cultura non eterna è fissata, solo un dono dagli antenati per proteggerci dalla morte e dal male. Eppure la cambiamo quando ci piace pare, e poi dal passato sì, ce ne scordiamo. La civiltà, non schieramenti armati pronti alla battaglia, sì, anche se non lo vediamo, ogni tanto si siedono insieme e prendono un caffè come vecchi amici, raccontandosi l'un l'altro storie dal loro weekend passato.
I've just realised that by chance the first four open mics are all going to be European languages, which is interesting. It's unusual actually. Usually we don't get that many European languages. And again, you could hear some English words in there. I think even though English is supposed to be a German language, a heck of a lot of Italian and Latin in there. So now I might ask Ross to come up. Ross just happens to be passing through Canberra, and he is from Ireland, and I'm not sure that he's going to have any Irish Gaelic, but it may sound as if he has. And are these your own poems, Ross? So if you could just give us maybe one, and over to you. Or I'll just wait and see if you can.
Hello everybody, how are you all this evening? My name is Ross McCarrick, and Tobronorm Neil May Fáskelka, so this is all going to be in English, but I guess we'll call it Hiberno English, which is like a variation if you want to give me a nice read on that. Yeah, I'm just here in Australia for 3.5 weeks. I was over for a friend of mine's wedding. I was his celebrant in an Irish wedding that he had a couple of months ago, so I said I'd make the journey over for this one. So this is called The Navi's Lament, and it's the main thing is about a fisherman lost at sea, but you can read into it whatever way you want, and yeah. The day turns dark, and the tempest wind tosses the ship from chartered course. A sailor looks on all his sins. Oh, to drown my heart in pure remorse. Stern to the end is how they'll see the hardened hands of a journeyman. No give, no bend, they'll remember me when my body is washed upon the sand. Like a line that snaps even before it's cast, a flag mast on a home adrift, a shroud of shadow in every port I passed has led me to Leviathan's rift. And I may bow my head to the serpent's size, except no truth will be sung in round, or I can look to the sky, into its eye, and let our fates be eternally bound. For I fear no foe except the great unknown, but I have seen him where he sleeps. I don't look for mercy, I won't atone. Crime and punishment are mine to reap. And the day will break before my resolve, and no nightmare dare to come in hurry. For when the sun starts to revolve, ne'er a thing shall make me worry. And then the beast retreats into the waves that pushes the ship to calmer seas. And though his scars were more than grave, they are and will forever be. Thank you.